65% of people would electrocute a stranger to death just because someone in a lab coat told them to. That's not a theory. That's the Milgram experiment. And the same obedience that makes people follow destructive orders makes them follow destructive financial advice. Get a degree, get a job, save money, retire at 65. That's the script. That's the program running in your head right now. And you never questioned it because your psychology punishes independent thought. Obedience equals poverty. The wealthy aren't smarter than you. They're not luckier than you. They simply refuse to follow the herd. They question the narrative that everyone else accepted as truth. And in the next few minutes, you're going to understand exactly why your brain keeps you broke and how the psychology of wealth works for the few who dare to think differently. The obedience trap. In 1961, Stanley Milgram conducted an experiment that exposed something terrifying about human nature. Ordinary people, just like you and me, were willing to administer what they believed were lethal electric shocks to complete strangers. Why? Because an authority figure in a white coat told them to continue. The disappearance of a sense of responsibility is the most far-reaching consequence of submission to authority. Now here's what nobody connects. This exact same obedience that made people shock strangers is the same force that makes you follow financial advice that keeps you poor. Your parents told you to study hard and get a good job. Your teachers reinforced it. Society rewards it, so you obeyed. You got the degree. You got the job. You're paying off the student loans. And you never stopped to ask if the script was even designed for your success or for someone else's. The wealthy understand something you don't. Authority doesn't equal truth. They question every instruction. They verify every assumption. But this conditioning goes deeper than you realize. Herd mentality. Solomon Asch showed participants a line and asked them to match it to one of three options. The answer was obvious, completely obvious. But when actors in the room deliberately chose the wrong answer, 75% of participants conformed at least once. They denied what their own eyes could see just to fit in with the group. Your brain would rather be wrong with the crowd than right alone. This is the Asch conformity experiment, and it explains why most people will never build wealth. Look around you. Everyone is doing the same thing, working 9 to 5, living for the weekend, complaining about money on Monday, spending it all on Friday. And because everyone is doing it, your brain interprets this behavior as safe, as correct. The masses validate poverty because the masses are poor. The wealthy rejected this validation. They accepted being the outlier. They chose being strange over being broke. If this belief about fitting in hits close to home, hit like and subscribe to reprogram more of your money blocks. The next pattern might be the one destroying your finances right now. Learned helplessness. Martin Seligman discovered something disturbing about how we learn to give up. He observed that when animals experienced repeated negative outcomes they couldn't control, they eventually stopped trying to escape even when escape became possible. They had learned to be helpless, trapped. Now apply this to your financial life. How many times have you tried to get ahead and failed? How many side hustles collapsed? How many investments went wrong? How many times did the bills eat your savings before you could even start? Each failure taught your brain a lesson. Trying is pointless. So now, even when opportunities appear, your brain dismisses them before you can consciously evaluate them. That business idea won't work. That investment, too risky. That negotiation for higher pay, they'll say no anyway. It's not the failures that break us. It's the belief that failure is permanent. The wealthy experience the same failures. The difference is they never let those failures install a helplessness program. They saw each failure as data, not destiny. But there's an even more insidious trap waiting. Scarcity brain. Princeton researchers Sendhil Mullainathan and Eldar Shafir discovered that scarcity literally changes how your brain works. When you're focused on what you lack, whether it's money, time, or food, your cognitive bandwidth decreases. Your IQ functionally drops by up to 14 points. You become worse at long-term planning, worse at impulse control, worse at seeing opportunities. This is why broke people make poor financial decisions. It's not because they are stupid. It's because their brain is operating in emergency mode, focused entirely on immediate survival. Poverty isn't just a lack of money. It's a psychological state that perpetuates itself. The wealthy don't have this mental tax. Their abundance mindset allows full cognitive function. They can think long-term. They can delay gratification. They can spot opportunities you literally cannot see. Scarcity steals your intelligence. But here's what's terrifying. You might have scarcity brain right now and not even know it, because the trap works by making you blind to the trap. And this connects to something even more fundamental, the identity lock. Here's a question that will expose everything. Complete this sentence: I am a blank person. Did you say hardworking, middle class, struggling, getting by? Whatever words you use, those words are your identity, and your identity is your prison. You cannot outperform your self-image for long. This is called identity-based behavior, and it explains why lottery winners go broke and why trust fund kids stay rich. Your brain has a thermostat set to a specific financial temperature. When you exceed it, you self-sabotage back down. When you fall below it, you work harder to get back up. But you never leave the range your identity allows. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. The wealthy rewrote their identity before they built their wealth. They saw themselves as wealthy before the bank account confirmed it. They acted from the identity they wanted, not the one they were given. Identity precedes reality. Most people try to change their behavior while keeping their old identity. That's like changing the movie while keeping the projector the same. But the identity lock connects to an even deeper program. Childhood download. From birth to age 7, your brain operated primarily in theta wave state, the same brainwave state used in hypnosis. During these years, you absorbed everything without critical filtering. Every comment your parents made about money went straight into your operating system. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. We can't afford that. These weren't just statements. They were installations, programs that now run automatically every time you encounter a financial decision. And here's what makes this terrifying. You don't remember the installation. You just experience the results. You're running software you didn't choose on hardware you can't return. The wealthy either had different childhood programming or they did the work to consciously rewrite it. They identified the limiting beliefs. They questioned their origin. They replaced them deliberately. Most people never examine their childhood money programming. They think their feelings about money are just how they are. Natural, fixed, permanent. They're not. They're installed. And if you can install a program, you can uninstall it. But first, you need to understand the deepest trap of all: social penalty. Why is it so hard to break from the pack? Because evolution programmed you with a fear more powerful than the fear of poverty, the fear of social rejection. For hundreds of thousands of years, being expelled from the tribe meant death. Alone in the wilderness, you wouldn't survive. So your brain developed exquisite sensitivity to social approval. Exile. Now fast forward to today. When you start thinking differently about money, your tribe notices. Your friends make comments. Your family expresses concern. Your coworkers look at you strange. And your ancient brain interprets this as mortal danger. Different equals dangerous. This is why you keep quiet about your ambitions, why you downplay your wins, why you stay at the level of your peer group. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. The wealthy paid the social price. They lost friends who couldn't handle their growth. They faced family criticism. They were called crazy, obsessed, money-hungry. They paid it anyway. Most people would rather be socially accepted and broke than wealthy and criticized. And this brings us to the ultimate barrier: comfort addiction. Your brain has one primary objective: keep you alive. And it accomplishes this by keeping you in known territory. Comfort, predictability, the familiar. Even if the familiar is painful, your brain prefers it to the unknown. This is why abused partners return to their abusers, why addicts relapse, and why you keep making the same financial mistakes. Your comfort zone is a beautiful cage. Building wealth requires constant discomfort. Cold calls that feel like rejection, investments that feel like gambling, negotiations that feel like conflict, visibility that feels like exposure. Every single step toward wealth is a step away from comfort. Growth and comfort cannot coexist in the same space. The wealthy became comfortable with discomfort. They retrained their nervous system to interpret stress as growth rather than danger. Discomfort equals progress. Most people optimize for comfort and call it self-care. They avoid stress and call it boundaries. They stay small and call it being realistic. Meanwhile, the wealthy embrace the very feelings that others run from. But understanding these traps is only half the battle. Awareness shift. Here's the truth that changes everything. You cannot solve a problem at the level of consciousness that created it. All the traps we've discussed, the obedience, the conformity, the helplessness, the scarcity, the identity, the childhood programming, the social fear, the comfort addiction, they all exist below conscious awareness. They run automatically. The first step to wealth isn't a strategy. It's awareness. You have to see the prison before you can escape it. Right now, in this moment, you're more aware of these psychological traps than 95% of the population. Awareness is the beginning of freedom, but awareness without action becomes intellectual entertainment. The wealthy didn't just understand these principles. They applied them ruthlessly. They questioned every belief. They examined every automatic behavior. They traced every limitation back to its source. Knowledge without action is useless. You now stand at a crossroads. You can let this information become another video you watched and forgot, or you can use it as the starting point for complete mental reprogramming, which brings us to the final piece: outlier mindset. The masses do what they are told. Get a degree, get a job, save money, retire at 65. They never question the script because their psychology punishes independent thought. But here's what the wealthy understand: freedom. The social cost of being different is temporary. The financial cost of being the same is permanent. Every self-made millionaire was called crazy at some point, unrealistic, obsessed, weird. They heard the criticism and kept going anyway. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. Being the outlier isn't comfortable. It's lonely. It's uncertain. It requires you to trust yourself more than you trust the crowd. But it's the only path to genuine wealth. Normal equals broke. You have a choice. Stay in the herd where it feels safe but guarantees poverty. Or become the outlier, face the discomfort, and design your own financial destiny. The wealthy broke free from collective programming, and so can you. The psychology that keeps most people poor is now visible to you. The question is what you'll do with this knowledge. You've just seen the psychological architecture of poverty, the obedience that makes you follow destructive advice, the conformity that validates staying broke, the helplessness that makes you stop trying, the scarcity that steals your intelligence, the identity that locks you at your current level, the childhood programming you never chose, the social fear that keeps you small, and the comfort addiction that feels like safety but is actually a prison. Most will never escape, not because they can't, but because escaping requires becoming the outlier. It requires questioning what everyone accepts. It requires paying the social cost of being different. It requires sustained discomfort that most people refuse to tolerate. But you're not most people. You watched until the end. You absorbed information that the masses will never seek. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. If you made it this far, comment outlier mind if you're ready to break free from the collective programming. Your mind is either programmed for wealth or poverty. Now you know how to reprogram it. If this exposed something in you, subscribe. There's more to uncover.